Don't complain about a world you won't attempt to change. Here we go again, folks. This is Brian Anderson-Payne, and you're listening to The Bat Project on Art, Beats, and Lyrics Radio, ablradio.com. We're hitting you every single Monday around this time, and you come back at night and catch what's going on. Listen, I'm excited as always to have time to just impart and share with you, and as always, I call it an investment of time. How do we begin? Well, you ought to know by now. We begin by saying, or reminding you rather, I'm the guy who says, don't complain about a world you won't attempt to change. Here's the deal, folks. You will have times where you want to complain about stuff. I know I certainly do. But the gauge is now to, I started to hit pause and rewind a little bit because but is a negative conjunction, changes the whole direction of everything. So I'll say, and the gauge is to find some way to make a positive impact on what's going on. Let's make some kind of positive change. How about that? All right, cool. Hey, I'm making it happen today. What's going on, Marcus?
What's going on, sir?
You doing all right today?
Yes, sir. How you feeling today?
I am feeling pretty good.
Another week.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yep, another week. So, I don't even know where we are right now. I mean, we just keep going. We just keep going.
It's what we do, man.
Yeah,
It's what we do. And you know what? Interestingly, there was a quote that kind of like a picture quote or something I had made on Facebook a long time ago, a couple years back. That's a long time in the
digital. Yeah. At this age, that's a long time.
Yeah,
a couple of years.
Time.
2 years is a long time.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God. So this was about 4 or 5, 6 years. So that's like the Jurassic period.
Yes.
But anyway,
you had the right stuff then.
Yeah. Actually, the pins. What is that? But actually, the quote or the picture rather, it alluded to the idea that sometimes you're facing problems and you don't really know what to do, and you don't have an answer to the solution. And sometimes because we're in ministries, people always expect us to have an answer for everything. And my answer simply was, sometimes you gotta just keep waking up. That was it. That's what, big old pause. What do you mean? Sometimes you just have to keep waking up. Like what made me think of that was you saying you got to keep going. Sometimes, you don't have the answer as to what to do, but you got to keep making moves. You got to keep just getting out of bed. And before you know it, you have woke up on the day where, hey, everything's different here today. So
that's right.
So that's what's going on.
My high school coach, I don't mean to cut you off, but my high school coach used to always say, run it again. And it's just part of refining the process. Mm-hmm. Just do it over and over and just keep going. And eventually you're going to get it right and it's going to pay off. Mm-hmm. Is the point. So, even as kids, when we were taught that, we carried it into your livelihood and, as adulthood, and, you just keep running it again. So, like you say, you just keep getting up. You just keep going. Absolutely.
Because you're not. It seems like you're doing the same thing, but you're not, because you're thinking, okay, what's going on? How do I do this? So it's making some moves happen. We just kind of want to push people right now who are faced with some stuff like, I don't know really what to do. Well, maybe there is no certain person who has a certain answer, but you got to keep going. Got to keep going. So check this out. Here's where we are today. And I'm really excited. I don't even want to say why yet. Let's just kind of get into it, and we'll go from there. I was sitting around thinking. I think that one of the key elements to finding the direction of what we're doing with the program sometimes is just taking the time to just think, not chase ideas or information and all of that, but sometimes it's just thinking, or what scripture would say, just meditating, just taking a second to think. And what I was thinking about was looking at a lot of the shows a few years back, maybe a year or so ago, a lot of the shows, a lot of the movies, a lot of the songs. I was listening to songs a little while ago, getting frustrated, or found myself getting a little frustrated. And you can tell me if you've ever experienced this. Have you ever had a time where you were listening to stuff going, wow, that kind of sounds like everything else that's out there?
Oh, yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah,
Yes,
or the programs or TV shows,
Yes.
And you just kind of wonder, wait a minute, hold on, what's going on? We're in one of the most alive ages ever, but it seems like sometimes things are just kind of being recycled.
Cloned.
And
Yes.
and not even well all the time,
Right, very poorly.
And what it caused me to ask was, the question was, man, where are all the creative geniuses? And I started thinking down the line of creativity. Where are the creative geniuses? Has creativity dried up? Is there something different? Are we at a less creative stage now? Are people being less creative? Or is creativity given to just a few certain giants and everybody else kind of follows along? Or what is the deal with that?
Well, go ahead.
No.
Well, what I was going to say is I personally think that the digital age that we live in now, it allows anyone pretty much to attempt to be creative. Not to say that everyone is successful, but there's so much and such a frequency of the attempt to be creative that the actual creative stuff gets lost in the internet because it's so vast and so deep, and you can easily get lost in that Google page. You so much stuff is at the top because it's the popular stuff, but the real creativity might not get the looks that the other stuff are getting. And I think the real creativity is hard to find only because it really is hard to find.
Well, I started thinking about it from that question, and I was wondering, why do we have people like Steve Jobs, and we have people like Walt Disney, and we have, even in the music, people like Michael Jackson and different artists. And I started wondering what's going on. Is it people being less creative and all of that? And I was amazed at what I really discovered, because the reality is, it's not that creativity is only given to a certain amount of people. It's not that only a few people have creativity and then the rest of us just have to follow the line. No, the reality is God actually created all of us with all of these incredible tools and gifts and abilities and potential. And when just look at the physical aspect. If you cut each of us open, you're going to find what? The same stuff. You're going to find lungs, the intestine. You're going to find a brain. You're going to find,
hopefully,
right. Hopefully so.
Right.
But here's the deal. What happens is we've all been given the same tools at the starting gate, and instantly when the gate opens, some things happen that tend to send us on different trajectories. And I want to kind of strike a match here, because the reality is, whoever we are talking to right now, in spite of how uncreative they may feel, in spite of how blocked they may feel, the reality is every single one of us has everything already right now inside of us that we need to express the creative genius, use that word, genius, that we are. Every single one of us, whether we're exposing that, displaying that or not, every single one of us. Listen at this statistic here. There was a survey done, and what they found out was, I'm not going to name the survey or whatever, but that's why we got Google. So what happens, we find out that all children are born extremely creative. There was a test done, and 95% of kids from the age of 2 to 4, they were tested highly creative. I mean, their imagination was off the chart. You could give them sticks and they would come up with, amazing things to do and all that kind of stuff. The scary part was, at age 7, those same children were tested at 4% creative. 4%. I mean, the same kids, they were tested and they had lost, or rather, I won't say they lost, but they displayed such a lower level of creativity. And what they found out was, while we all have these amazing tools to begin with, instantly life and parents and people around us instantly start discouraging, not intentionally.
It's the influence.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, is it nature or nurture? Well, both, you know. And instantly you start getting discouraged. You know, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, don't do that. No, you can't color outside the lines. You got to color inside the lines. And you got to do this. Or no, you can't wear those because those colors don't go together. And you know, we start giving all of these incredible rules, which, man, even saying this kind of slapped me in the face, because I thought about, you know, how I handle with my kid and all that kind of stuff. And even without trying it, a lot of times we are stifling, we're just literally choking the life out of creativity from kids, because we're telling them, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. And even though we're not trying to do it in a hurtful way, we're doing it to you know, we don't want them to look weird, to stand outside the system. But what happens is they end up not looking weird and not standing outside the system. And we put these chokeholds on creativity, where we're trying to just really be effective parents or guides.
Right. I was just going to say that. Yes.
Yeah. Not even knowing that we're telling you, don't jump so high, don't think so weird.
Right.
You know,
we think we're giving them structure, and by what we think structure should be, which is choking the life out of creativity, because creativity technically doesn't have a shape, it doesn't have a form, it doesn't have rules. That's why people say, you know, you push creativity to the limit, you know, and some people go overboard with it, you know. I mean, you have to reel it back, but what is really overboard? Overboard is another boundary.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying?
There we go. Because you got, I mean, look at some of the people that we have in different industries, and y'all know I always end up coming back to the music industry with Michael Jackson, because that's my favorite. But here's the deal. You have to be able to say, I'm going to go with what I feel.
Right.
Even if there are other people around you saying, no, that doesn't work.
Right.
Because it very well may not work for them.
Right.
But you weren't designed to necessarily be a garment that fits everyone else. God created you
that's right,
with this unique fingerprint.
Okay.
Never ever asked anybody else, you know, how should this fingerprint look? He doesn't. He does it in this design, and I'm trying to be really, really conscious of that. I'm going to hit some scriptures and stuff when we come back, but I really want to get into this. I want you to open up your mind and begin to think outside the box and wonder, or rather consider, have things been said to you that were said with a good intention, but actually ended up stifling your creativity more than inspiring you to be the unique, incredible person that you are. Wow, I think all of us would find somewhere to deal with that. And we're getting ready to get into it when we come back. Hey, you're listening to Brian Anderson-Payne, and this is the Back Project on Art Beats Lyrics Radio, ablradio.com. And you're back with Brian Anderson-Payne, folks. This is the Back Project on Art Beats Lyrics Radio, ablradio.com. As we were leaving off that last segment, what I was speaking about was the idea is, where have all the creative geniuses gone? Well, here's the deal. They haven't gone anywhere. They are right where they always were. You are that creative genius. I am that genius. The people next to us, they are those geniuses. It just may be kind of locked up or hidden away, but it is right there. Nothing else needs to happen. I need you to understand, you are operating with the most incredible God tool imaginable. You are operating with the most significant computer you will ever find. And that mug, that's a word we use from way back.
Mug.
Yeah, that mug does not stop. It works 24/7. That is the mind that you have. Conscious and the subconscious. You know, the subconscious mind blows me away. I talk about it a lot because it didn't hit me until maybe sometime this year that, do you realize from the time you were conceived to until the time you leave here, there are things within your body that operate that never stop.
Yes.
Like, for instance, the heart,
That's right.
the lungs, the blood cells and all that stuff,
nerves,
all of that stuff. And here's the deal. Those are all being ordered and instructed by your mind. Your mind, that incredible God mind that you were given from God. The subconscious mind, it's controlling everything. And the reality is your subconscious mind is always working to fix your problems. 24/7, it never stops. It's always working. There are always things that are entering in the body and all that kind of stuff. But the mind is always ahead of the game, figuring out how to deal with all of that. And the same way that it handles sickness and all of that, it's also there to give us the answers that we are asking and putting forth. I know some people get upset because they say, well, no, that's God. Well, I mean, it is God. It just depends on how you see God. Some of us see God in the fact that, the fact that the heart does not stop beating at all. It does not take a sleep break. Well, I credit those things to God. So when I say that it's always there, the deal is creativity is subject to the law of use. In other words, like with any human faculty that we have, like the cliches say, hey, you use it or you lose it.
That's right.
So it's kind of in that vein, but creativity doesn't really die. It doesn't die. And I know there are a lot of people who say, at one point in time they felt they were super creative, but life happened and then they somehow, lost that creativity.
Right.
Or others of us, we talk about writer's blocks and all that kind of stuff. And the reality is we don't lose creativity. Creativity doesn't die, but it does go underground when it's not used.
It goes dark.
Yeah. It kind of goes dormant and just really it's just waiting to be used again. Like I said, it's right there. It's just waiting to be used again. And we kind of see, I don't know about everybody, but I know I want to exercise my creative muscle. I want mine going nuts. I want it, just so busy all the time that it's not funny. There's this scripture over in Matthew 13:12, and I'm kind of stretching the context here, but you get what I'm saying. 13:12 says, "For whoever has, to him more shall be given, and he will have an abundance. But whoever does not have, even what he has shall be taken away from him." And that's Jesus speaking, and it's interesting of the story behind it and all that. But basically, the context that he says is, hey, to those who got it, we'll add more to them. Those who aren't operating with what they have, well, they're going to lose even the part that they have. And like I said, I'm stretching the context, but it does kind of support the idea, hey, use it or lose it. Use what you got and do something with it, or do nothing and then just
have nothing.
Now who wants to be there?
Right.
I mean, I want to be in a spot that I'm operating like crazy on everything that I got. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But I mean, it goes back to what we were saying in the beginning. You just got to keep going, even when you have those times where your mind needs to take a break from trying to just push out that creativity, because creativity, I think, is developed through inspiration and influence. So, you might be around a friend and, it's just the way they act. They kind of influenced or inspired this character or a script, or, we just, it's just keeping going, just keeping running it again. You just run it again, so you keep trying, you work through it. You never lose it. Like you said, it does go dark, though. It does go underground.
It is. It's there. And I know there may be somebody sitting there now trying to figure out, well, what do I do? How do I just force this stuff out of me? Because I know I've had seasons where I wanted to just force creativity out of me. And here's what I discovered, which we'll get into this more in coming weeks, because now I'm really focused on delving into it more. You can't force it. You can't make creativity happen. Creativity isn't something that you create. Creativity, we receive it. It's inside of us. We don't make ourselves creative. We receive it, man. I mean, it's amazing that there are certain things that God just gives to us. It's like a gift, and you can't figure out a way to make it happen. Sometimes we work so hard to display things that aren't supposed to be worked up, but simply received. Like there are times where you need to not work at anything. Just stop and just allow your mind to just breathe. Sometimes it is just breathing. I believe one of the reasons that we don't always acknowledge some of the things that are right there in front of us is because in past times we've not been the greatest stewards over it. Let me show you what I mean.
Okay.
How many times have you asked for a great idea? Not you in particular, but I could say me, because I know I used to do this a whole lot. I try not to do it anymore. Ask for something, ask for a great idea or whatever. Got a great idea, probably got it at a strange time. Might have gotten it, received it while you were in the middle of something, and said, I'll get to it later. I'm not gonna write it down. I'll just, I'll remember it or whatever. And later, that thing did not come back.
Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah, and so what happens sometimes is we got to actually commit to move toward the things that we receive.
Okay.
You get this idea.
Elaborate on that.
Okay, cool. I'll do it. Let's say this incredible idea comes to you and you are just blown over by it. Now, you've got this idea. Now, versus immediately starting to just do something to move toward that, you kind of just play around with it, and now it's the next day. And it's like, okay, well...
that would be, i.e., not writing it down.
Not writing it down?
Acting. That's moving toward it. Is that what you mean more? Moving toward it? Are you actually actively doing something to receive, and I guess writing it down is the next step in it manifesting.
I think it's a different spot for all of us. For some of us, it is simply just to do that, just to write it down so we don't lose it.
Right.
For others of us, it's like, okay, come on, what's the next step? You have to do something to move toward it, to show that you appreciate the fact that you got it.
Right.
Because let me ask you this. Who would you, not who would you can't say that. Who would enjoy always supplying the request of a person that never operates on the things you've already given them? I mean, I don't know. I hate when I say that, because that's not really true. I do know none of us would enjoy, okay, Margaret says, hey, can you provide this for me? And then somebody provides it, and then you don't do anything with it. And the next day, well, can you provide this? And they're like, okay.
I got a perfect example.
You got one?
A perfect example of what you're saying.
What you got?
I was dating a female, and years and years ago, and she and I, it was kind of a volatile relationship. She was kind of tried to get physical in the bad sense, when she got a little dranky in her. And so she and I used to go back a lot, and we'll break up and get back together, break up and get back together. Where I had a real close friend, which is still one of my real close friends, named James. I would call James, and I would say, vent and complain and everything. Well, he would give me or provide for me advice. The right advice. Man, you need to leave. This ain't working out for you. You need to leave. But I would go back. I wouldn't listen to it. I'd go back to her, and then something else would happen, and he would give me the same thing. So it got to a point where he would say, I can't keep providing this to you, man. Quit asking me what it is you need to do when I'm telling you and you're doing nothing with it. So I was doing nothing with what he was providing for me, and I was going to him looking for what he was giving to me. So, it took me a while to get to that. But
Absolutely. Why waste my great insight and you're not going to use it? So it is, I believe, with creativity in some cases. Some of us are getting ideas that we need to operate on. I want to suggest this to you real quick here, and then we'll move to the next part. 3 things I want you to hit. Goals. You got a goal that you're trying to move toward. You're trying to get creativity to help support that. Let's be real clear on what it is that I need insight on. What is it that I'm, quote unquote, asking? Then after that, I want you to be really, really clear that you're going to receive the kind of insight you need to be able to move forward on what you got to move forward on, okay? I want you to be convinced that it is going to happen like you need it to happen. Then I want you to stay focused on the outcome that you're looking for, not the fear and all that kind of stuff. Because what we don't want to do is we don't even want to set our minds on what we don't want happening. We don't want our minds on the roadblocks, because if you set your mind on that, if that's what you focus on, that's kind of what you end up creating. There's scriptures in Job 3:25, and Job said, hey, what I always feared, that thing that I dreaded, is what happened. Well, I guess it is kind of what happened, because that's what you drew. But let's keep our mind focused on what we want, and let's just ask God to release that within us, and then let's expect it to happen, and then move on it, man. Because trust me, it's gonna happen.
Amen.
Some creative stuff is getting ready to happen in the lives of people that are hearing, as well as the dude that's speaking. I believe that. You believe that?
I receive that. That's what I'm talking about, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
Receiving it.
Folks, this is Brian Anderson-Payne. You're listening to the BAP Project on Art, Beat, and Lyrics Radio, ablradio.com. And you're back with Brian Anderson-Payne on the BAP Project, folks. Hey, listen, as always, I want you to go over to brianandersonpayne.com. I would love to hear from you. That's what's important. It's important that we have this kind of thing with each other. And as always, if you're looking for that creative side of you to be released, hey, ask, believe, receive. It's a done deal. Hey, I'm looking for you here right here next week on the BAP Project on Art Beats Lyrics Radio, ablradio.com. Have a good one.
Ain't nobody greater. Ain't nobody greater. Ain't nobody greater. Ain't nobody greater.
WABL. New rules, new music. Download the app or stream on ablradio.com.